I mean, the overall message, though, which is essentially a cautionary tale around AI and the way we're getting sucked into social media, and it is a very either broad or multiple strokes that it's in terms of things it's trying to touch on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sympathetic to that view.
Yeah.
Particularly me working or doing work in analytics, AI is brought up all the time, and I look at what's being done, and it's some work is better, some is less. But overall, it's like, oh, what are you doing for AI? Not should we? It's like, what are you doing, right? We need to be doing more.
Yeah.
There's no question of that. And so, whereas some in the past, like, oh, we're sleepwalking, like people would say, like, for a war or something, where, people are sleepwalking. It's like, no, we're running headlong into it, fully knowing that that's what's there.
Yeah.
Now, do I know, do I necessarily think or imagine it's going to result in like a Skynet scenario or what we see in this film? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do think that there are some voices out there talking about this, but by and large, it's like, no. Look at how NVIDIA is doing. Look at how Anthropic's doing. Look at, Chat, GPT and all these firms. Like, this is the future. This is the now. This is where all the intention, this is where we should be investing. But there's very little sort of not only introspection, but critical examination of what's being done. I mean, even I look at a lot of this stuff and I know, and this has been discussed by, I think, one of the Nobel laureates who was given credit for a lot of this work. It's like, even though humans have, we'll call it designed the framework for AI, it does its own thing in terms of how it learns. And he used a really great example. It's sort of like the equivalent of saying, well, yeah, we created the mechanism of evolution, but we have very little hand in the evolution itself.
Yeah.
And that is, the problem. And there'll be folks who say, no, that's not how it works. There's perhaps some room for disagreement, but overall, there's a huge gap between what's happening and our understanding.
Yes.
And this is among even people who are very, technically savvy, who are at the center of the, so-called AI revolution. So I do think, not only in terms of the moral messaging, but just the fundamental sort of, position of like, we should be talking and thinking about this a lot more than we are, rather than just going headlong into something we don't understand that may have consequences we don't appreciate. And once they happen, we may no longer be able to do anything about them.